Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Ever been in a situation where you're bursting with a genuinely good idea? You've thought it through, it's solid, but then you try to explain it, and somehow, in the heat of a discussion, your words get twisted, stretched, and suddenly you find yourself defending a caricature of what you actually meant. It's frustrating, right? You feel unheard, misunderstood, and maybe even a little foolish. Well, if that's ever happened to you, stick around because you're definitely not alone. And there's a classic reason why this happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Picture this. Sarah, a talented and forward-thinking marketing specialist, is in a crucial team meeting. Her boss, Mr. Henderson, is there, along with several colleagues, including Mark. Mark is sharp, ambitious, but he's also one of those people who seems to treat every discussion like a debate to be won. Sarah has been working on a new proposal, something innovative for their somewhat traditional company. She's genuinely excited. After weeks of research, she's identified a relatively untapped market segment perfect for their new product line. Taking a deep breath, Sarah begins her presentation. Good morning, everyone. I've been looking into emerging platforms, and I've identified a niche social media app that's showing explosive growth with our key younger demographic. My proposal is that we allocate a small, experimental budget, say 5% of our current digital spend for 1 quarter, to run a targeted pilot campaign on this platform. The entry cost is low, our main competitors aren't there yet, and it could give us valuable first-mover insights and potentially high engagement. It's a calculated, low-risk exploration. She lays out her data, her rationale. It's clear, concise, and carefully considered. Mr. Henderson looks intrigued. A few colleagues nod thoughtfully. Then Mark leans forward, a slight smirk playing on his lips. So, Sarah, he begins, his voice carrying a challenging tone, if I understand you correctly, you're suggesting we basically abandon our entire tried-and-tested marketing strategy, the one that's delivered consistent results for years, and pour all our resources into some unproven, flash-in-the-pan app that's probably just full of teenagers doing dance challenges. You want us to gamble the company's quarterly targets on a whim, hoping this little experiment magically solves all our marketing needs. Silence. Sarah's heart sinks. Her carefully crafted proposal for a small experimental budget and targeted pilot campaign has just been painted as a reckless, all-or-nothing gamble to abandon everything proven and pour all resources into the unknown. Mr. Henderson's expression shifts from intrigue to concerned. Other team members look down, avoiding eye contact. Sarah is flustered. No, Mark, that's not what I said at all. I specifically mentioned a small percentage, an exploratory pilot, but the damage is done. The atmosphere in the room has changed. The conversation is now derailed, focusing on the absurd, high-risk scenario Mark just painted, not on the merits of Sarah's actual modest proposal. She's on the defensive, trying to claw back to her original point, but it feels like wading through mud. What just happened here? Sarah, with her well-intentioned and sensible idea, walked straight into a very old, very effective conversational trap. This isn't about an honest misunderstanding. It's a deliberate rhetorical maneuver designed to seize control of the argument and discredit an opponent's position, regardless of its actual validity. The brilliant, if somewhat cynical, philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer meticulously catalogued dozens of these argumentative tactics nearly 2 centuries ago in his fascinating work, The Art of Being Right. He wasn't necessarily telling people to be devious, but he was shining a bright light on the devious ways people are when they argue. And this specific tactic Sarah faced, Schopenhauer called it the extension. The extension is deceptively simple but incredibly powerful. Here's how it works. You take your opponent's statement, their idea, their proposal, and you stretch it. You carry it beyond its natural limits, interpret it in the broadest, most general way possible, and often you exaggerate it to the point of absurdity. Why would someone do this? Because a very broad, very general, or highly exaggerated claim is far easier to attack and refute than a specific, nuanced, and carefully restricted one. Mark took Sarah's small, experimental budget for a niche platform and blew it up into abandoning all proven strategies and pouring all resources into an unproven app. His exaggerated version is obviously a terrible idea, and by making it sound like that was Sarah's proposal, he cleverly made Sarah's actual proposal seem tainted by association, risky and ill-conceived, without ever engaging with its real substance. Why is this so effective? It plays on a few quirks of human psychology. Firstly, it's a form of misdirection. Like a magician making you look at one hand while the trick happens with the other, the exaggerated claim grabs everyone's attention. We're wired to respond to bold, extreme statements. So, the discussion shifts from the original, reasonable point to the new, distorted one. Secondly, it forces the original speaker onto the defensive. Suddenly, Sarah isn't explaining the benefits of her idea anymore. She's desperately trying to correct a misrepresentation, which can make her appear flustered, less confident, and less credible. Thirdly, if the exaggeration is clever enough, it can make the original speaker look foolish or extreme for supposedly proposing such a thing, even if they never did. It subtly poisons the well. Schopenhauer grouped these kinds of tactics under what he termed heuristic dialectic. Now, that sounds a bit complicated, but it essentially means the art of controversial discussion, or more bluntly, the study of how people argue to win, whether they are objectively right or wrong, or whether they are seeking truth or just victory. He wasn't trying to create a manual for manipulators. Rather, he was like a biologist dissecting an organism, laying bare the anatomy of arguments. He identified 38 distinct stratagems, or cunning plays, that people use often instinctively to get the upper hand in debates. His insight was profound: to navigate human discourse effectively, to defend your own valid points, and even to persuade others hopefully ethically. You absolutely need to understand these moves. It's like learning the rules of chess, including the tricky gambits your opponent might use. You need to recognize them to avoid falling prey to them. So, what could Sarah have done in that meeting? And more importantly, what can you do when you find your words being stretched and twisted by the extension? First and most critically, stay calm. Getting angry or flustered is often exactly what the other person wants. It can be another stratagem in itself, designed to make you lose your composure and your argument. Instead, take a breath. Second, clearly and firmly restate your original position. Don't get drawn into a lengthy defense of the exaggerated version. Politely but decisively bring the conversation back to what you actually said. Sarah could have said, "Mark, I appreciate your perspective, but that's a significant overstatement of what I proposed. To be clear, my suggestion was specifically for a small, 5% experimental budget for a single quarter to test a niche platform. I am not, by any means, suggesting we abandon our core strategies." Third, directly pinpoint the exaggeration. You can gently call out the misrepresentation. Something like, "I think you've broadened my specific point about a pilot program into something much larger than intended. My focus is on a limited test, not a wholesale shift." This subtly signals to everyone, including Mr. Henderson, that a distortion has occurred. This whole dynamic also underscores the power of precision in your own communication from the outset. The more clearly, specifically, and narrowly you define your propositions, the less room there is for others to grab onto a loose thread and unravel your entire argument by stretching it out of shape. Learning about these stratagems, like the extension, isn't just about winning arguments or defending yourself in a boardroom. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of the undercurrents of human communication. It helps you diagnose why some discussions go wonderfully, fostering collaboration and understanding, while others derail into confusion, frustration, and conflict. It equips you to see how people consciously or unconsciously try to gain an advantage, sometimes at the expense of truth or clarity. This awareness makes you a more discerning listener, a more careful speaker, and a more astute observer of social dynamics. And here's the really valuable takeaway. While Schopenhauer's work is titled The Art of Being Right, The true wisdom isn't about achieving a hollow victory in a war of words. It's about recognizing these rhetorical tactics so you can neutralize them, protect your intellectual space, and foster an environment where ideas can be discussed fairly and honestly on their own merits. When you understand the tricks of the trade, you're far less likely to be victimized by them, and perhaps less tempted to use them unthinkingly yourself. The ultimate goal isn't just to be right in an argumentative sense, but to navigate our complex world of conversations in a way that your valuable ideas are genuinely heard, respectfully considered, and given a fair chance. Think about your own life, those tense family discussions, passionate debates with friends, even those frustrating online comment threads. How many times have you seen the extension in play? Someone makes a perfectly reasonable point, and suddenly it's twisted into an unrecognizable extreme. Now, you not only have a name for it, but you also have a clearer path to address it. This isn't about becoming more combative. It's about becoming more aware, more resilient, and more effective in making your true voice heard. It's about ensuring that good ideas aren't silenced by clever rhetoric, but are allowed to shine. If you found this deep dive into the subtle mechanics of our conversations valuable, and you're keen to uncover more insights that can help you think clearly and navigate the world with greater understanding, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. We're going to be exploring many more profound, applicable ideas like this, drawing from philosophy, strategy, psychology, and beyond. We want to equip you with the mental tools to thrive. More powerful content is coming your way very soon.